First showcased by Capcom in 1987, the Megaman series, also known as Rockman in Japan, has helped define the action platform genre of video games. 1993 saw the release of a new series called Megaman X, and it, together with the titles that came thereafter, has made this video game franchise a household name and a cultural icon. Fast forward to 2020, Capcom is looking to bank on the nostalgia factor mixed with modern mobile gaming elements to draw in the old school gamers and a new generation of players alike into getting their hands into its latest offerings in the Megaman X series of games, titled Megaman X DiVE. If you're wondering if this game is worth your time and possibly your hard-earned cash, I made this video to help you decide whether you're going to pass or play. Welcome to the channel. My name is Xsalt, and in this episode I'll share with you my list of the top 5 things you need to know about Megaman X DiVE. Let's go! Starting off with number 1. It has the vibe of the Megaman X of the old with a touch of modern gaming elements. If you're an old school fan of the game, I'm happy to report that the overall feel of Megaman X DiVE is very much aligned with that of its predecessors. It does not have an engaging story to begin with, but let's be real, we play the game because of the thrills of shooting and sword slashing, and completing missions that seem impossible to finish, so that later we can tell our friends about how we managed to beat the boss that they couldn't. There are plenty of familiar faces to see, both heroes and villains alike, that will further hook you through nostalgia. Many of these are playable in-game. There's Megaman X, Megaman Zero, and Vile. You'll also be facing the likes of Chill Penguin, Cyber Peacock, and a whole lot more. The game maintains a side-scrolling platform littered with critters where you need to use all the skills of the trade to dash, crouch, jump, and double jump your way into conquering each stage. The core of the gameplay is intact. Identify patterns, master your eye-hand coordination, play, die, repeat until the stage has been cleared. Through and through, this is proof that this is the familiar game we've all come to love. Newcomers will find that the updated graphics are at par with what a game released in 2020 should look like. Number 2. It is designed with mobile players in mind. The developers of the game, Capcom and Cryware, took into consideration the platform upon which this game is going to be played at, and adjusted the game accordingly. While the frantic, fast-paced nature of Megaman X was maintained, new features such as an auto-targeting system was added to make the game more playable. Stages are also relatively shorter compared to the OG Megaman games, rewarding players for completing them in record time, some within a mere 300 seconds. Playing on a touchscreen brings a new level of difficulty, and so elements that used to automatically kill you, such as spikes, lava, and falling onto bottomless chasms, are no longer as severe, with the game choosing to penalize you instead with a slightly depleted health. And speaking of touchscreen, number 3. You can play with touchscreen controls, but it's meant to be played with a controller. There are touchscreen controls available, but your small screen can easily become crowded as your characters are able to wield any 2 weapons, ranging from busters to rifles and sabers, regardless if traditionally they couldn't. Plus, they have special skills that are assigned to separate on-screen buttons, such as X ability to charge up his buster. There's also the jump and the dash buttons. All these things can make the game a pain to play, not to mention that most players that use touchscreens play only with their thumbs. Thankfully, the game is compatible with a wide variety of wired and wireless controllers, allowing you to use additional fingers by mapping the on-screen controls to the controller's buttons and LR triggers. There's also an option to make the on-screen controls invisible, freeing up more screen real estate so that you can see more of the game's environment. Every Megaman veteran knows that the proper way to play this game is via a controller. Ah, the good old days. I can't recall how many times I've had to replace my PS controller because of Megaman games ruining it. Anyway, moving on to the next point. Number 4. It's free to play, but it will cost you time to make progress. Lots of it. The developers are trying to pass this game as a free-to-play premium title, or a freemium game. As such, most of the activities you'll execute in the game will require you to spend some form of currency. You spend action points, also known as AP, every time you play a stage. You have to collect memory fragments to upgrade your character, and so on. These upgrades are necessary in order to make progress, as the game's difficulty becomes increasingly more challenging and frustrating to complete if you enter the stage with a power level below that of the game's recommendation. While it's possible to complete the stages without upgrades, you'll find yourself failing to meet the bonus for the time requirements without them. AP will replenish over time and other players may give you some, but once you're out, you won't be able to continue unless you spend other forms of currency, including real money. Depleting your AP may be a sign that you ought to take a break from the game, but that can leave you wanting to play some more as you are already about to make your 20th attempt in perfecting a stage when you ran out of AP. You can always spend money to buy stuff to aid you in playing the game, but that can turn off casual gamers who are simply looking to complete the story. Speaking of the story, some of the stages cannot be completed unless you beat the previous stages in hard mode, further driving the need to grind and spend more time or spend real money on the game. And finally, number 5. There are new features added not found in previous Megaman X games, but there are missing features as well. There are some activities in the game where you can get more materials that are used for upgrading called events and challenges. But the most notable addition to the game are the multiplayer modes. There's co-op where you can team up with a random stranger or a friend, kind of reminiscent of Contra where your goal is to destroy critters, and there's also a PvP mode, where you can test your mettle against other players in either practice mode or ranked matches. These features are arbitrary and personally speaking, they have little appeal on me, but if you're looking to take on the game in a more competitive or cooperative spirit, you have your options. These options may suffer from the occasional lag and are half-baked at worst and decent at best. What's on the original games that's not here is the mechanic that allows your character to copy the strengths of the bosses you have bested. You also are only able to bring one sub-weapon with you instead of all of the powers you have collected against all of the bosses you've faced, but granted, that's just a minor letdown. By the way, did anyone notice that there are no health drops in this game? It's just kind of weird. So, is this game for you? For the true casual gamers who will pick up their phones for a moment of entertainment and won't be able to dedicate time into progressing, you are not this game's target audience. The game demands time and to some degree, an above casual level of dedication. If you're not into grinding, I'm sorry to say, but you won't be able to enjoy the game's story no matter how basic and lacking in depth it may be, unless you're willing to invest time or money. If you're a true Mega Man fan on the other hand and you have plenty of time in your hands, then you don't even need me to tell you that this game is a gem. A gem in the rough it may be, but a gem nonetheless. This game brings with it the bells and whistles of an authentic Mega Man X game, one that you can dive into and have a great time doing so. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if you like this video, consider subscribing and help the channel grow. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Xalt signing off. Peace!